Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Ellis, and this is my Closing the Gap presentation. As you can see from the name, it's called Quarantine Coping. Obviously, it came about from the COVID-19 situation and quarantining, remote learning, etc. So let's get into it. I did my internship at Buffalo Grove High School. I'm on the school counseling track at DePaul here. So I was at BG and I just wanted to include a little snapshot of what BG looks like. So I have a little bit about the student body demographic, and in the bottom corner, I have the low income achievement gap listed, which is 34% as of 2019. So you can look over this information a little bit and let's get started. The purpose statement for my group is to provide students who have self-reported that they are in need of support with resources and access to additional services. Exactly that, resources and additional services. So the goal is to empower students with coping skills during the global crisis and remote learning. The target population for this group is determined through a needs assessment that was sent out to all BG students. And so to kind of preface a little bit about what this presentation and this special Closing the Gap will look like, we did about half of it and about half not. So it's kind of like what could have been or what would have been if it was a different situation. So we actually were able to send this remote learning check-in out to all of our students, and it goes out to them and they can fill it out. They can mark the zone that they're feeling, and then what is causing them to feel in that zone. So maybe they need someone to talk to, they need an outlet, they need help managing their emotions, or they need access to basic need resources, so food, internet, financial assistance, anything like that. And we get these back, and in a perfect world, that would be how we would organize the group through this, and we would use it to mark progress. But the group didn't quite get off the ground, but we did get to manage students individually. So their needs ended up being met in real life, but in real life, we couldn't turn it into a group. So what could have been, what would have been, is to follow the intervention plan. So populations to be served, self-reported students in need of internet, financial assistance, food, mental health resources, or any coping skills. And the evidence-based intervention we'll be using, utilizing facets of dialectic behavior therapy. So again, in a perfect world, this group, it probably would have had all the facets of dialectic behavior therapy, but for my 3 little presentations or webinars, I chose to focus on mindfulness and emotion regulation. So using these skills to access coping and facilitate connectedness, which you'll also see is one of my little webinars and what could have been. Evaluation and participation. So this group will distribute both pre and post tests to collect data of group effectiveness. Mindsets and behaviors seeking to be met. So belief in development of whole self, including a healthy balance of mental, social, emotional, physical well-being, demonstrating the ability to overcome barriers to learning, and in this case, remote learning, which is an additional barrier. Demonstrating effective coping skills, personal safety skills, the ability to manage transitions, and ability to adapt to changing situations and responsibilities, and develop and demonstrate advocacy skills. So especially in a lot of students that do respond to this survey, they absolutely are in changing situations and changing responsibilities. I've seen a lot of my students who are the ones working in the family now, they have absolutely barriers to remote learning when they need to provide essential services during days that would traditionally, or hours that would traditionally be school hours. So the data. Process data, 75% of self-reported students will attend group, and I say self-reported students and about 75% because, like we talk about barriers to learning, every student at BG does have an iPad, but say, life happens and that iPad breaks or they don't have access to internet at their home, how do they even see that survey sent to them? So just again, another barrier to learning, and 75% of self-reported students, so students who do get a chance to view that survey and take it, will attend group. Perception data, so students will gain access and utilize one of these resources and or coping skills. Outcome data, 50% of students or attendees rather, will move out of or maintain a distance from the red zone listed in that survey by the end of group. I'll do a little weekly breakdown of what could have been week one. And actually, this is what has been. It's just not been in a group format. So individually, students have been receiving all of these resources, which has been amazing. And they're all real resources, local to BG and provided by BG. So, session one in week one is focused on basic needs and resources. So, housing, internet, financial assistance, food, mental health, and there's tons of resources that we've been able to provide students with, which has been amazing. Week two, mindfulness skills and regulation strategies. So, I chose to explore mindfulness and emotion regulation. I wanted to show students something that is really accessible to them that they could practice and do at home. It's not something that happens, with the snap of your finger, but it's something that you can practice and use as a coping skill over time. And with the uncertainty of how long we'll be in quarantine or shelter in place, I wanted to give something to students that would be accessible and doable. So I gave a little presentation of what is mindfulness. I feel like that term gets thrown around a lot, but what actually is it and what does it mean and how can I use it? And emotion regulation. So, again, what is it? When should I use it? When can I use it? And how do I even do it? How do I practice it? That's a little bit about what week two is. And week three is focused on connection and isolation. So, isolation, we're physically isolating ourselves from others, but we don't need to socially isolate. And two important connections that I wanted to focus on are connections within ourselves and connections to our community. So, I just added a couple things that I thought would be important surrounding self connection and community connection, and some communities I love. And here are my sources. Thank you guys so much.